Hello, our weary travelers. We are shouting into the void. Thanks for joining us. My name is Nagy. With me is my cherry salmon co-pilot, Mr. Fish. How we doing today, bud?
We're doing well, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I guess I'm just
Doing well.
talking to
Gotta use
you
that
since
proper
we're
grammar.
stuck on this spaceship.
But that's what
Got
the
it.
void's for. We're shouting into it. So
Yeah.
today we're examining a very unique aspect of life on priorities and the massive things that can encompass, ranging from personal to occupational, all the different things of it dances around life goals, but also just where are you sitting on these things. So it's gonna be, I think, tumultuous is the best way I can describe this one.
All right. Well,
So
I
sit
think
tight,
everybody goes
grab
through
on, and
life.
let's go cruising.
All right.
So, priorities. Now, this is something that is pretty unique, that it's such a simple category with such depth to me. Where, like, hey, what are your priorities in life? Oh, they're ABC. Okay, well, what does it take to achieve those? And that is where I literally just static 90s TV screen salt pepper fight. Like,
Interesting.
where are we going with this?
Why is that?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think part of it is because so many things in my life were, I hate to say handed to me slash just like dropped in my lap, that my perspective for the past 10, 15 years has just been like, yeah, go see what happens. And
Nagy,
when yeah,
you're a white kid that grew up in Boulder, Colorado. We know you got
yeah,
it.
silver platter. But that was what was so bonkers. Like, it's, there's no simple way. There's no simple thing. So I'm starting from the beginning. If we had like classical music, this would be like back when I was a young wee lad. So like, go to college, get a degree, do your thing. And we are going to talk on another episode about higher education, because I thought that you'd go get a higher education to become more highly educated and a well-rounded human being. And when I got to college, it was like, hey, just pick a degree for a job and go work the job. So to cut out a lot of info, I changed majors 7 times.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I switched counselors so much that my last counselor is like, dude, you have so many aspects covered. You just need to pick like certain high level classes and you can graduate. And I was like, cool. Can I just do like business communications? They're like, yeah, go take these classes and you've got it. So when I graduated, I had no idea of what I wanted to have lined up. And the big ringer was that when I graduated, I had just broken my knee. So I graduated college and a month later got a surgery that kept me literally off my feet for 5 months. And then after that, it's like, okay, well, I don't really know what to do with hit the job market. Followed my dad into trades, did that for a while, and then was doing that, randomly found the summer camp I worked at where I met Jera, and then worked with her, got in a relationship, went home, was working trades, followed Jera around. Next thing we know, she's like, oh, a person at summer camp had talked about working on cruise ships. Let's look into that. And then we jumped on cruise ships. That fell in our lap. And then working on cruise ships, COVID hits. We moved back to Rapid City, South Dakota. We're trying to find work. I find random work at a bar, and Jared and I do great for like 5-6 months because South Dakota's like, hey, COVID doesn't exist, come visit. So our bar was always popping. And then after the bar died, they're like, yo, you're going to go from 50 hours a week to like 10. We're like, well, let's go see other stuff. Then I get a phone call. It's like, hey, there's openings down in iFly Fort Lauderdale. You did work on the ship with this guy. We want you to come work here. Do that. So like, again, all these things were falling into my lap. So for me, the priorities of what I had were just like, what's next? I don't know. Cool. Here's an opportunity. And then life catches up. Now I'm sitting in Minnesota like, okay, what should I do with life now? What have my priorities been? And that's where it's just, 404 blue screen static of what should I do?
I think the question is just, what do you want to do? What do you dream of?
That's blank screen. So I was
But
like,
that- you
talk to
say that,
Fish,
but,
see what a normal
like, there
person's
can't
like.
be-
What's a
there-
normal person's trajectory like?
Honestly, my trajectory's been all ass backwards, just trying to do me. I'll be honest with that. So I may not be a good example.
All right, well, hit me with it because I don't know this about you because it's sort of like we just share like, yeah, shapes are crazy. That's awesome. Like, all right, life's cool. Let's do a podcast.
Okay.
So like,
all right.
what led up to?
So I graduated high school. I went to a private community college, or not community college, but just like private school in Southern Virginia because I was too dumb to get into like a state school. I graduated with I think it was like a 2.4 GPA. Like I
Was this because of lack of studying, curriculum?
Oh, because I could care less. If anybody knows anything about me right now, like I'm going to learn my way, what I want, and it's going to be relevant to me, which happens to be like a lot of things as we're learning, as I learn to get older. But like sitting in a classroom is just a prison for me. That coupled with you give me something where I have to do my homework and then turn it in 2 days later. I don't get that immediate dopamine feedback. I'm on to the next thing, which is why like you could always just find me in gym and shop class because like, hey, look, I made the goal. I did the thing. Gym class. Yay. Or
I made this with my hands. It's done. Look, an accomplished task.
Exactly. Like I killed those classes. Everything else, it was like probably 70-30 if Chris was paying attention or not.
Now, were you like me where it's like, hey, here's the answer, show your work? Like, I don't need to show my work. There's the answer. I got it right.
Oh, no. It was just like, I just never paid attention to learn enough to pass anything. Like, I just got C's and B's and called it a day.
C's with degrees. That's a sad statement, but it's true.
So I then got into that small community college or not community college. I next transferred to a community college near my house so I could try to get into a state school because I was like, man, this is just a small place. I can't be a big fish in a small pond. I can't, it's not my thing. I'd rather be a small fish in the biggest pond on the planet. Like that's my kind of mentality as I've learned as I got older. So then I went to a state school, got my bachelor's degree. Immediately after that, which was in kinesiology, so fitness, exercise, all that stuff, I worked at LA Fitness for 6 months after school, and then got my job at Royal Caribbean, which my mom actually applied for. And I was like, I don't want to do this shit. And so I went and did that. Came back. I tried streaming video games on Twitch for a while I was... Didn't make a whole ton of money doing that, but enjoyed the personality and aspect of it. At the same time, it was
super fun. That was my second knee surgery when I got to be involved in your life on that one. That was basically like the conception of this of like, hey, we do pretty good together when we're whatever.
So we did that. At that time, my parents had convinced me to go to grad school because they were basically like, look, dude, we understand that you're doing this and that's cool and that's awesome and it's going somewhere. There's obvious growth, but like you've got to have something else going on. And so I was like, all right, I'll go to grad school. Taught at Orange Theory at the same time and also really just kind of enjoyed one of my professors. And so she gave me the job of working in the sports science lab there. So I basically ran the sports science lab in grad school for our sports science department. Like that's really all it is.
Right.
After that, COVID hit like kind of right as I graduated grad school, moved to Texas with a lady friend, fell into a job with an entertainment company that I managed basically the play side of the restaurant. And then after that, really kind of worked there and just didn't feel overly fulfilled as I moved up the corporate ladder. And so now I'm here making these videos with you and trying to go back to my personal training world and get things going. So,
Yeah.
but I want to circle back to this dream thing. Like, how do you have no dreams? Because I've been chasing dreams. I've been making up shit since I was like 7 and been chasing them down, and everything that I do is all, I had this really, okay, so me and my girlfriend had this weird conversation, and we were creating our Assassin's Creed characters, and she goes, man, I'm going to build my character this way, yada, yada, yada. She's like, how are you going to build your character? And I was like, exactly like me. Like, he's going to fist fight, he's going to shoot, he's going to,
Yeah.
like, she goes,
I do that a lot with those.
But she took a second. She was like, wait, what do you mean you're going to build it like you? Like the video game. Yeah, like I'm me in the video game, but the video game's doing me. So like I live real life like it's a video game. And just I don't want to put a screen between anything, and I just want to, anything that comes to my mind I try to do and chase it down to the most of my hand. Lockpicking.
Right.
Triathlons, underwater hockey, school. The other thing is I clearly talk fast and move fast and think fast. So I just do everything that I want to do and try to make time and priorities for it because it makes me happy, which is oftentimes more than everybody else.
Absolutely. And I think, I don't know if it's like a realistic and objective point, but the objectives have changed. So like my priorities in college were like, go to class, get good grades, graduate, find job, find employment. And then, like I said, all these other opportunities just like fell in my lap of, I had knee surgery and I could barely walk, but I went to my old high school and I was like, hey, I can barely walk, but I played lacrosse. Can I work here? And they were like, we pay like nothing. I'm like, I'm not in it for money. I just need something to get me out of my house because I need to start moving around. And so I went to lacrosse, then a lacrosse camp. And then after lacrosse camp, it led to cruise ships. And it was like all these opportunities. So it was like my priorities were just like, keep moving, keep going. So it was just like, okay, find employment.
So hold on, but you've never had a dream then? Like you've never said, you know what, I want to be a national champion in lacrosse. I want to be a pro lacrosse player. I don't know, like I'm just saying, what's your random ass dream that you've always put out there? Like what's the thing?
There weren't many. It was like
never had that.
Like, that's I know it's like mind-boggling. I've literally sat there being like, what if I could do anything, what would it be? But there's a lot of things that were like influenced. I was like, I'm easily influenced by whatever. When I watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I'm like, I would love to be a detective. I love solving puzzles. I love doing this kind of stuff. Looked at different avenues. Watched Rescue 9. Is it Rescue 9? Whatever with Dennis Leary. Like, be a firefighter. I was like, okay, but I hate cities, so I don't want to be in a city where there's actual fires. You got to do stuff. If you're living in the outskirts and you're just rescuing cats out of trees, like, okay, it's not really my thing. Like, and then when we got on cruise ships, I was like, this is it. I like high energy activities. I like customer service. I like helping people and doing stuff. And I was like, that was it. Like, cruises were the epitome of things I wanted to do, where it was all my financials were taken care of. All my travel and expenditure, everything was taken care of. I was like, this is all done. Everything's so simple. It's like cut and dry. Here's your contracts. Here's when you're off. Here's when you're back on. Go to work, go home, and enjoy your time. And I was like, yeah, perfect, sweet. And now being in the real world, I'm like, hey, can I find a job like this? They're like, no, you need to work 8 to 5 and maybe overtime and do all these other things, but your job's going to be unfulfilling for these things. Like, okay, well, where can they line up? Like, there's not a thing I can nail down. I go, that is what I want to do. Just yet. I keep saying when I grow up, dude, I'm 35, man. Like, that point is pretty much past its corona on like, hey, bro, you should probably not, like, everyone else, like, oh, I'm just going to go back to school and do this other stuff. Like, cool, now I'm 40 starting over. What could it be? And I think it's a bit of denial of being like, I don't think I'm ready to jump back into that and still pick what is the thing. And
so just for perspective,
yeah,
Robin Williams was 40 in the movie Hook.
Sweet. So I've got some time.
You keep saying when you grow up. If you're comparing it to the Lost Boys, you're about to go back to Neverland and figure out how to do it all again.
That's what I'm banking on. I just need the Lost Boys to be like, hey, random dude in Minnesota, come on, this is like a sick, I'm in. So, and again, it's been such a big priority shift of, you know, when we were in Florida, when we just got down there, it was that Florida life. I went to work. Jared and I had like perfect schedules. We'd both go to work. It was, you know, sports enthusiast jobs. Like it's I fly and she was working at a rock climbing gym. We would work basically Wednesday to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'd have off. We'd hit the beach. We'd do whatever. Priorities were enjoy life. Like, oh, dude, both of us don't start till noon. All right, let's go hit up the beach in the morning. Like, we're doing everything we want to do. Let's go climb tonight because we got time. Like, we're both off early. Let's go. And then she got the office job in Miami. And then Mini Human comes along. And those priorities for me just, like, completely shifted. Where before it was almost that immediate gratification of waking up, being like, what do I want to do? Like, dude, it's a beautiful day. Let's go to the beach. Awesome. Then it's shifted to, hey, this Mini Human needs constant care. Like, first we got a dog. Dog was easy because it's like, all right, I'm going to go on a 2-hour walk / run with the dog. With Florida heat, it's usually like 40 minutes before he's like, dude, I'm toast. Let's go. And he sleeps the whole day. So I'm like, sweet. Now I got nothing but my own times to do. To this Mini Human that it's not like I don't have, and I'm always very judgmental of the people that want like escapism. Like, oh, I'm like, I'd go on the golf course. Like, yeah, I left my wife and kid at home. Just need some golf for the next couple hours. You're like, yeah, awesome. Pretty shitty attitude, bud. Like, I was golfing and being like, I wonder what they're doing all kinds of stuff. Like, my priority shifted to just this Mini Human.
Okay.
And now it's the Mini Human lining it up with life and work and things like that, where it's, you know, what can I do that's self-fulfilling, but also, you know, I have this focus on family now.
Back to your dreams and goals. If anything, no, hold on, don't say no.
All right, sorry.
Because you sit there and say no, but I remember back to the day, Lord knows how many years ago, whatever. It was an X amount of years ago. You were sitting with me on the bike and you were very upset about being in the gym in general for longer than 23 minutes. And we were just kind of talking about life. And you told me you wanted a litter of kids constantly, like all the time. That was something you could constantly tell me. And then now you've got a kid. And so that was a dream you wanted and came true. So don't sit there and say you have nothing. Like, what do you picture?
That's true.
The world? So, and like when you close your eyes, what's the perfect world look like, or perfect you look like? Because that's the other thing that people forget. You say the perfect world, but they also forget about the perfect me.
Yeah. And I remember that. I used to tell everybody I wanted to gaggle and naggles. But the reality of like, oh, you can't just have 2, 3, 4 kids and give them the care they want without being the other thing I hated was we'd go to the beach, and when my buddy and I would go, trust me, this comes back. We'd go to the beach, my buddy and I would throw on shoulder strap bags. You know, like imagine anything that barely fits like a pair of shoes in a water bottle. We'd go to the beach and you're like, hey, you got like micro towel, a couple beers, and that's it. You are going to the beach. And then if you need food, you go buy it because we're adults. We have money. There's a bar right there. Go get your food. Go grab another beer, whatever. Go back to the beach, sit in the ocean for hours. Then you have a kid. And I was like I would look at people that had wagons when Jared was pregnant. I'd be like, we're never going to be those people toting like a caravan of wagons to set up at a day at a beach. And then I had a kid and I go, you need a caravan because when you and I are hot, you go sit in the ocean, you drink a beer, have some water, take a shower, you're good. These microhumans are so useless that the sand's too hot, the air's too hot, there's too much sunshine. Like, if you and I are hot, you throw on a baseball cap, you're like, good, the sun's out of my face. I just cooled off 10 degrees. These microhumans are like, hey, put on your hat. Like, I don't want to wear my hat. And you're like, bro, you need to wear this hat because you are burning in Florida sunshine. And so you need this caravan of everything.
Children are
like,
pretty
I guess the
unproductive
reality.
until about 13.
Yeah. I mean, I would say
They're just a
7 or
time and
8.
money sink at that point.
Yeah, like from working with kids on ships, I was like, the perfect age to travel with a kid is when you could say, "Do you need to go to the bathroom?" And they say yes, and then you can take them to a toilet, and then they go, and then you're done. Like, are you hungry? Here's some food, and then you're done. Like with toddlers, it's like, oh, he's hungry. Here, we brought these snacks. Oh, you don't want these snacks? Okay, let's order you this thing that you usually like. Now you hate it. Like, that's the reality of, like, okay, where's an option of food? Do you have chicken nuggets to macaroni to lasagna to maybe just pickles? Like, that's what he want or might eat.
Mm-hmm.
So it totally changed perspective of, hey, Nagy, bring your kid. We're going to this place. Like, okay, do they have this, and this? So that I can accommodate this small human so we can have a good time? Like, no. All right.
So where was that going with my dreams? And you told me beforehand you were going to bring it back.
That was a gaggle and naggles relating to having a herd of children and then realizing, like, that sounds like a nightmare. No wonder those parents are just, like, run down and trying to golf and avoid, like, oh, let me go grab you a water from the bar. And then they're gone for, like, an hour. And they're like, oh, I got you one water, but I also just needed some peace and quiet. Like, okay. Like, I never want to be like that. Like, playing the hot potato with the kids of, like, okay, you watch them for a half hour while I can go get some peace and quiet, then I'll watch them for a half hour while you go, like, that kind of thing. Like, so the priorities of that just shifted from being extremely self-sufficient and almost like nomadic of, yeah, let's just pick up and bomb away, versus like, okay, well, now we have this mini human that, like, we did the drive from Florida to South Dakota. It was 33 hours and it took us like 65. Because we were driving with him and there was so many more stops and things you needed to do. Where it's like, if it's me and you, like, we're doing that 33-hour drive in like 34 hours because we stopped to take pictures or go to a bar or something like that. Or like, oh, there's a disc golf course that we went into played. But now it's like, you can't do those kind of things. So it's like a reality check.
Well, I don't think it's a reality check of you don't want to do those things. You can't do those things. I think it's you don't want to do those things. You're realizing
Absolutely.
that more than you can't do those things because there's no can't in this world except for, like,
Right.
I can't be Mexican. Like, that's not going to happen. Like,
right. You can go study Spanish, immerse yourself in a cutchin. Like, you're still going to be from West Virginia and pretty pale no matter how tan.
Virginia.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like, you experienced it a little bit when we came to Colorado, and it was like, okay, we got a 40-minute drive from the airport to friend's house. And it's like, yo, he's crying for 20 minutes. Like, yeah, we can totally drive through this. But 20 minutes of a kid crying in a car seat, like, white knuckle grip, just like, all we got to do is get there. It fries you on a different level.
So let's bring this back in. What are your dreams?
The dreams now, I think, revolve around finding a job where we can utilize all these skills that I've acquired from cruise ships. Where, like, I tell people, I'm like, I've interacted with literally tens of thousands of people. And I've traveled this crazy world. And I want to find a place where I can keep helping people and keep doing stuff and then have that work-life balance.
Okay. What are your dreams?
I can't say, like, I don't know how that's not an answer.
So, no. I think you're thinking too complicated on it. Do you want a house? Do you want 10 acres? Do you want to be able to jump up and down when you're 70? Like, give me something here. Give me a dream.
Okay,
what's your dream? Like, what is something that is intangible, but you want it?
Yeah, but if it, like, to me, if it's realistic and it's intangible, like, why do it? Like, this is where, like,
I'm going somewhere with this. Trust me. Just play the game.
Okay, so, yeah, want a house with a big yard and I
Okay.
can go to work, come home, and hang out with my kid in the yard and my dog in the yard, and
Okay.
teach him how to shoot lacrosse and do stuff,
Okay.
and
Do
enjoy
you
going to work. Like that's a very simple dream, but when you look at the actual numbers of it, it's like that's
but that's the thing is don't get wrapped up in what the numbers are. Get wrapped up in how to get there. How do I get there and how do I make all this happen? What sacrifices am I willing to change to that? My current dream is to run a sub 5 hour race in that half Ironman. The sacrifices that I'm making is I'm getting up on Wednesdays at fucking 6:45 and going out and running for 8 to 10 miles first thing in the morning. Do you want to know how many people want to do that? No one. Absolutely nobody. That sounds like a miserable time in 50 degrees. But I have this dream that almost brings me to tears of when I cross that line of how proud I am going to be of myself when the moment finally
right.
happens that I can say, you know what, dude, I did a sub 5 hour race. Yeah.
Nice.
And that's the dream that I'm chasing and everything that I'm sacrificing to make do it. So,
Right. Well, what are the sacrifices then? What are your sacrifices?
time, sleep, right? Like, who wants to get
How
up
long does
early
that
and
take?
go running?
Are you doing like, is that 60 minutes? Is that 45 minutes? Is that 80 minutes to do
Of
your.
sleep? Probably
No, of the run. What's a run in the morning?
that particular run is between an hour and 15 and an hour and a half.
Okay.
Every Wednesday.
So by
coupled with, we'll call
8:30?
it a 20-minute drive to get to where I need to go. Because I have to train on a route that's similar to what I'm running.
Right.
So
So if you're there by 6:30, or you're there by 7:30, hour and a half run, you're getting home by like 9:30, preparing for the day.
yeah.
And then doing the thing.
Going about life, but
Yeah.
I'm sacrificing my time and pain. Like, it sucks. Like,
It's
again,
not exactly like you're like mile 10. You're not like, what a beautiful day out.
let's not just go out there and act like I'm jogging a 5K to get my blood flowing. All right, like
Right.
it's, and that's coupled with all the other training that I'm doing throughout the week. I sacrifice my time with other people or anything else that I want to be doing to make sure that I'm committing time to getting to this goal, right?
Right.
One of my dreams since forever is to own my own business. And the way that I'm trying to do that is right now I'm starting my personal training stuff. We are doing this, and this could eventually grow into something, right? Who knows? But the steps that I'm taking to getting to that point of where I can own my own business and do the things that I want to do and treat people the way I want to treat them through work, because I've had enough terrible role models that I built my model off of, that's my dream. That's my goal. My goal is to be able to have enough in abundance in a polite way that I can give back to anybody who needs it when they need it. Right. I'm not sitting here saying
Right.
I need to give away $100,000 to whoever needs it, but if somebody needs to come spend the night at my house for 2 weeks, cool. Come on over. I got plenty of food, plenty of water. It's not going to bother me. Like, that's where I
Right.
want to get to, and those are my goals, and I'm doing everything that I can to get there.
Yeah. And I mean, that to me is also the problem that I was on ships. Everything, it wasn't even abundance. It was all just covered. Like, if you tell people, like, go do whatever you want, and everything's covered. Because we would finish contracts, and we didn't even look at money, food, anything. We finish a contract, like, yeah, we're gonna go visit Fish. We're gonna drive to Colorado to visit Buzzy. We're gonna go on a trip to see these people. We're gonna come back, and then you know what? We're going right back to work. Like, that was a perfect. Like, those priorities were just perfect because everything was covered. And so now it's trying to do a 9 to 5 with those things. It's like my time has become so much more valuable, where I can't look at it as sacrificing. I mean, it truly is a sacrifice where if I finish work at 5, it's also the time that Jared and I have to pick up Atlas. If I'm gone for, let's just say, even a 60-minute thing to go do a 60-minute personal objective, that's